Behind the beauty of Kosciuszko National Park is an ugly dispute. At the centre of this battle, Brumbies, also known as feral horses.
There is nothing quite like actually seeing wild horses being wild, Brumbies out in the high country. It's just absolutely magical, and it would be an absolute tragedy if we lost that.
The numbers now are basically out of control. Best estimate is around 6,000. So business as usual is not working, and we need to do something more.
On odds and ends of mountain land, on tracts of range and rock, where no one else can make a stand, old Brumby rears his stock.
When poet Banjo Paterson wrote about Brumbies in the 19th century, it forged a place for these horses in romantic folklore. And it's helped make them one of the most fraught of ferals to control.
It's part of our cultural image, and that one we need to protect at all cost.
It'd have to be the hardest issue that I've ever dealt with in terms of the social aspect of it, in terms of dealing with stakeholders and the polarised ends of stakeholder groups.
While the focus has largely been on the high country horses, there are around 300,000 Brumbies distributed across the continent, mostly in the north and central Australia. And it's here, near Alice Springs, that the desert Brumbies now number in the thousands. They're the descendants of animals owned by early explorers, and stock horses set loose when machinery replaced horsepower.
The conundrum is we love the horse. We love to see it in its wild state, its fully evolved state, and thriving in its natural environment. We love to see that. But we know this is Australia and it's not their natural environment, so we have to make some compromises.
Horses travel in bands of around a dozen, groups of females and foals led by a stallion. Once the band is formed, they remain loyal to the group for life. But as they majestically roam the landscape, their hard hooves exact a heavy toll.
What the horses do is trample the ground, they cause erosion, they eat every bit of grass in that valley by the end of the long winter time, and it just changes the ecology of the valley forever.
You can see the kind of damage that occurs where they cross over a drainage line. These kind of crossings everywhere on every drainage line soon start to add up.
The stakes are high in the alpine wetlands. These are the headwaters of the Murray, Murrumbidgee and Snowy rivers, supplying much of our country with water.
I don't think people have really fully understood the issues that are really at stake here. I think the catchments and the water supply and the damage to that has an effect of so many millions of people downstream all the way to Adelaide.
And these high altitude landscapes are the only place you'll find some of our rarest and most unique native creatures, such as the corroboree frog and the broadtooth rat.
In the winter time, you'd have this covered with snow, and then the habitat for the broadtooth rats is actually burrowing around under the tussocks out of the snow, and that's how they survived over winter. If you get this sort of level of damage and impact, this would certainly lead to the loss of broadtooth rat in this area.
20 years ago, more than 600 horses were shot from helicopters at Guy Fawkes River. The public outrage that followed led to a ban on aerial shooting in New South Wales national parks.
It wasn't done right in Guy Fawkes National Park in 2000. There was some horrific footage there. It can be done right.
In Queensland and the Northern Territory, there are still occasional aerial culls. It's an efficient method of reducing numbers, particularly in places hard to reach on foot. But it's certainly not pretty.
The culling, nasty as it is a definite option that we have to embrace.
In the 1980s, a Swiss conservationist and photographer, appalled by the killing of horses, established a sanctuary at a former cattle station near Pine Creek in the Northern Territory. For several decades, Franz Weber took horses in and invited tourists along. but the station sanctuary has since fallen into disrepair.
So welcome to Brumby Week.
At Kings Creek Station, southwest of Alice Springs, visitors can still break in a carefully selected wild horse and eventually even take it home.
My body language is different. The first few days you're just trying to convince them that you're not out to hurt them. By the end of the third day you really get a close relationship with them, and the last couple of days you're their leader.
That's it, come on, give him time. Look at me. G'day, mate. You're going. Oh, I love that time. Oh, that's just the most powerful moment ever. Hey, big fella.
This breaking in of Brumbies is also a thing for the horses that come out of the mountains.
Yeah, I don't know what crack's like, but it can't be anything anywhere near as good as this.
Buck or Brumby running was once seen as a weekend pastime, but it was also a means of pushing horses out of national parks so they could be broken in for rodeo riders or farmers.
That was the traditional method that was used, was roping and trapping. And the old people in this area regularly trapped horses and did so in a humane way and used the horses productively.
And so they are yarded, the pride of the stud, by virtue of breeding, a triumph of blood.
While some would like to see the return of this thrill-seeking sport, it seems to have been taken off the agenda.
Brumby running is perhaps the least humane way of reducing horse numbers, the stress that it causes to the wild animals and the threat of injury to those that participate.
These days they're more gently coaxed with salt and mineral blocks or molasses.
Jeepers creepers, pet.
If they're lucky, someone like Colleen O'Brien is there to train and rehome them.
They come out of the wild and all they're looking for is a good leader and a kind touch and a place in a herd. Good girl.
The long-time Brumby supporter and opponent of culling has been rescuing the Snowy Mountains horses for nearly 20 years and has rehomed almost 400 of them.
So we actually find they're safer than domestic horses to train. They're absolutely delightful to have around and they bond with you in a way that almost a dog would bond with you.
Not all horses are suited for a life of domestication though, and their remote locations make them hard to catch in the first place.
The issue with the trapping and removal is unfortunately we can't apply it right across the distribution of where the horses are at the moment because it's dictated by having vehicular access to the area to be able to transport horses out, so we need other methods at our disposal.
After a long and detailed investigation, in 2018, the New South Wales government decided they would not shoot horses either from the air or on the ground. With mares producing at least 2 foals a year, the population will continue to grow.
I like horses too. Every Australian likes horses, but I like these Australian animals as well, and why shouldn't they have a chance to live, to survive, to continue?
A cultural icon of folklore or an outlaw. There's still a long way to go in the management of feral horses.